We know the BTC, that's off the balance sheet, that never hit its sheet. Its potential will know by proof where it is on October 15th. That's all we can say. But also, mind you, the top accountants in the world, they're not the most accurate accountants. They're the best at folding earnings or sales or losses into item lines that, to line items that you just won't be able to discover without a subpoena and a full audit. All right, good morning, everybody. Mike, Benz, Citizen Warrior Foundation over here. At this point, you all know that Alex has stepped down. So if you look at our Twitter page, you'll know that we listed 4 points of potential criminal vector pursuits against CelSqueeze and its principal. Alex stepped down. Why do you think he stepped down? So this is to the short squeeze guys. We're about to release a video that poo-pooed on you guys. Because, we all been rolling, and men roll, that's fine, right? So no hate there, we're all in distress, we get it, right? We didn't release it. We didn't release it because we know you guys are bugging now because of all the things you said on Spaces, and now you got this campaign against you. And if these death threats are actually happening, and you can validate that for us, then we're with you. But we need to talk this through, gentlemen. Because, I love poo-pooing on each other back and forth. I love rolling, but after we roll as men, we hug it out. That's how it works. Because we all got the same cause, right? This is what we want. We want the deposits released to the depositors, minus the loans outstanding in kind of digital asset. We just got the first obstacle removed, which is Alex. We're not going to tell you exactly why he was removed, other than to say that there was overwhelming evidence mounting up against him, and there was a lot of pressure, both, say, legal, political, and social. So Simon rather, I'm sure you can speak more to this, but we know you're not allowed to. So perhaps, gentlemen, Simon is not the devil, although of course he acts in his self-interest, as we all do. We all act in our self-interest to some extent. The question is, in acting our self-interest, how much do we help our family, our community, our nation, and the world over time, our legacy, right? So this is a ceasefire. I'm going to make it very simple. I'm not going to issue you guys anymore. I'm not going to take your trolls that come onto our YouTube page and try to impugn intent and go after them because they're too easy and they're fodder, right? They're the excesses of the group. They're not you. They don't speak on your behalf, and we never said they did. We said do a better job of policing them, that's it. But guys, stop talking on Spaces, bro. Stop doing it, because you've been monitored from day one. The same reason why we didn't come on, because if we said something may not be admissible in the event of criminal behavior, or we might lose attorney-client privilege, right? If we said something, say, hey, look here, look there. Then what we have done, if you comb through our socials, is that we dripped a whole lot of things for you all to look into to know that Alex is not your friend. And that the short squeeze, building value in the cell token relevant to pulling it out of a hole, it's not going to work, gentlemen. It's not. Because we need people wanting to get out of the hole in order to do that. So I'm talking to some of you in DM. I've promised confidentiality that we're not going to speak publicly because, as much as this is such a silly thing, if any association with us would hurt your reputation, of course we don't want to hurt your reputation. But that is the most silly thing in the world since, go back, we've been talking about the same stuff effectively since 3 weeks after the Chapter 11 filings, once we had more clarity after having explored some of the incidences in UK and some of the incidences in Tel Aviv, Israel. So anyway, ceasefire, gentlemen. We got to come together. And we had to do it in confidence, meaning NDAs for the leaders. They sign it, they talk it through, we exchange intel, and then we strategize with counsel, and we go forward. The state is stepping in, as you know right now. That does two things. One, it sort of takes it out of our hands, but it also gives us a vector whereby we can work with the state, if we're unified, and say, these are all the monies outstanding that are off the balance sheet that need to be found, and this is how it can be pursued. Okay, so we know the BTC, that's off the balance sheet, that never hit its sheet. Its potential will know by proof where it is on October 15th. That's all we can say. But also, mind you, the top accountants in the world, they're not the most accurate accountants. They're the best at folding earnings or sales or losses into item lines that, to line items that you just won't be able to discover without a subpoena and a full audit. This costs a lot of money, gentlemen. This is why we were trying to raise funds in the beginning through anonymous donations. That's why we set up a private foundation as opposed to a charity. And just so you know, it's 100% self-funded. So I lost like 19/20 of my money in Celsius and the Lunar Crash, okay? I've self-funded the rest. Soon I'll be moving over to Dubai to the cost of living, and so that we can continue pursuing this, because we want the depositors, including myself, of course, driven by self-interest, right? My family, my community, my nation. You guys are part of my nation. The world over time. You all outside the States are part of the world, and the world over time. So don't ever follow anyone who says that they're doing something out of pure virtue and zero self-interest, because I'll tell you, they are a liar, right? They are a liar, and you will find it in short time. A lot of this charity is nonsense, right? So the foundation is for people who don't want to fear reprisal, like you gentlemen right now in the squeeze are getting these threats. There are bigger players and macros involved that you may not be aware of, or you may be, but you have to stop speaking publicly, okay, on Twitter, because you're being monitored, for goodness sakes. Okay, I mean, us ourselves, we were trying to figure out who was on the payroll of Celsius, so we've been even monitoring it. And we did it in good faith. I didn't go on every one of the spaces because you all were just talking about the same thing all the time and having all this faith in Alex. So you guys stop having faith in Alex. He's not the good guy, I swear to you. You'll find out soon enough. Just, I mean, take it on faith for now, right? He's not going to step down because he's the good guy, right? If he was always fighting for the people, he's not going to step down. He'll step down because of political, social, and legal pressures that are mounting. And they're mounting in part because we've identified all the legal vectors with which you can claim malfeasance, gross neglect, and so forth. So this is Mike, citizen lawyer. I'm signing out. This is a ceasefire, gentlemen. The CelSqueeze guys, the ones who love Simon, the ones who are trying to be the peacemakers in between, all three of these groups. And this is me from Citizen Lawyer Foundation. We have the means where we can get funding without the means of reprisal once we get our exemption, and we can put together a committee of your top, most reputable guys. And you guys can share it. Share it. So we can go after it legally, lawfully, through legal vectors that we've already identified. We simply need to be able to have the money to be subpoenaed to identify that the wallets are in fact in the ownership of certain institutions that may be out of the United States. It may have occurred right around the time of the Chapter 11 filing. That's all we can say right now, which is like pretty much telling you 95%. Just fill in the blanks, bro. Fill in the blanks. So our DMs are open. We're not going to go discuss things in depth on DM. We will set up a message. We'll Zoom it. First, you'll sign an NDA because we don't know who to trust, just like you don't know who to trust. But if you don't trust us a little bit, after having told a lot of this stuff, right? And out of us saying, like, let's work together, it's all self-funded. And essentially, when a man assumes voluntary costs, right, on behalf of himself and others, most likely it's not a grift unless he's asking you to give him money, right? So I'm not asking you to give me money. I'm asking you to give me time. I'm asking you to give the foundation expertise. And we can close in on a specific transaction IDs that occurred at a certain time, number one. Number two, we can close in on what was presented to Series AB investors versus the earnings that were owed. And there's two other vectors which you should look at, including why would you run through a higher tax jurisdiction unless there was cause, and what that cause may be which district it would default to in the event of a Chapter 11. And also we need to explain Chapter 7 versus Chapter 11 and educate the public on the uncertainty, the unprecedented that we're seeing right now if one were to fall into Chapter 7. Because right now, no amount of venture capital is going to go pull Celsius out of the hole. It's not going to happen. It's not. And all the VC funds, in all the places that matter in the States and some abroad, not the Asian guys, so they'll throw things at, they'll throw money at everything, but they're not going to pull it out. It's like, what, 3.2 billion? And it's not even certain if they're going to count the CEL token in the valuation, guys. Really, at all, it's not. So be careful with those holdings. Just because we don't want you to lose more money, just in case, all right? We're not saying dump them, we're just saying just be careful of pumping more liquidity. Because when Alex dumps his holdings, if you're pumping liquidity in there, we should tell you something. The guy's trying to get away with something. To work together, we won't let him. And at least we'll show the rest of the community that we're unified, bro. That we're not at each other's throats. We look like clowns to those that make things happen. I tell you this for fact. We look like we, the community, at each other's throats, look like clowns. But we're so much smarter than that. Like, I see a lot of you guys in the squeeze space, expert TAs, great analysts, right? I see some of you other guys who have very strong legal knowledge, despite the fact that we haven't explored the unprecedented situation that we're in with Chapter 11, we're moving to Chapter 7, and in what fashion deposits can be withdrawn and in what kind. And but you know, Chapter 7 can release deposits to depositors, to the unsecured investors or creditors within like 2 to 3 months, and that could avert so much bad stuff from happening. Of course, you don't want to sell at the bottom, right? So obviously, you don't want to push 7 if that means to go into liquidation. Obviously not. Obviously not, right? So the terms of the movement is just the idea that we remove it from the principle of CelSqueeze to keep on extracting money. Now the principle is stepped down, right? What's going to happen with the next guys in line? We don't know. But we know that the state is stepping in. We know that there's multiple attack vectors, and the attack vectors are lawful, and it's in the interest of the depositors, guys. And we're not doing things because we're 2 steps behind you. We know exactly where your heads were at. Okay? Like, we know, and we're trying to say, like, challenge those axioms with which you base the belief in mentality on. Hopefully, Alex stepping down was enough for you to listen to this ceasefire and this call for us to cooperate and come together. And we do it in private, leadership of all these groups under an NDA. And then if we establish trust, we speak with one voice. And we can even bring on counsel. We're not expecting a contingency. Once we get our exemption, we can fund it, or we can work directly with the state to expose what happened and to make sure that those monies that are collected, which is a whole other issue that's going to take forever, considering where they went into the country, but at least will eventually be returned, right? Eventually. But let's get the initial deposits right now. Let's get them from stop going down, right? The amount of money in there to be redistributed back to its owners in the form of digital assets. Let's at least safeguard that for now. Let's agree on that, and then let's come together. So my DMs are open, serious players only. I already know the names of the top guys in each group. If you're from these groups and you're not one of these top guys, please encourage one of the top guys to have to speak to leadership, because this is the only way that we can move forward swiftly, because we don't have all the time in the world. If we did this 2 months ago, we would have a $1.2 billion hole and close. We could have pulled it out of Chapter 11, now we can't. So the longer we wait, the harder it's going to be. Let's stop waiting, gentlemen. This is not for just us, right? It's for everyone who's been burned and lives irreparably harmed, and some people who've taken their lives, which we know for a fact, at least one which we can verify. It's very hard to verify these claims because it's like their wives or whatever submitting. So, call to peace. We come in peace. We call to cooperate. But we also say, let's do it now. Because the longer we wait, the more the depositors are screwed. This is Mike Ben, Citizen Warrior, signing out. Peace.